Conference. I'd like to open with a few thanks, if I may indulge you. Firstly, to all those who have been forced out of their employment due to poor management and factory closures, yet have remained with our union. Thank you for staying with us and being part of our great union, and for their continued support. I would also like to welcome the 2,758 new members that have joined us over the last year. And I would like to say a special thanks in particular to the following sites and their branch secretaries. At Kettlebury Foods, Coomer and Boss, who will have a banner up here in support of shortly, who's recruited 190 new members. At RF Brooks, Di Mort, who's recruited 138. At Bradgate Bakery, I'm going to get this name wrong, Bippin Mystery, who's done 118 members. Gunstones, Dave Sorby, better known as Sid, who's done 108. At Greg's at Twickenham, Oscar Onamici, 102. Keith Hutchinson at Greg's of Yorkshire, 97. Cameron Alley at Fox's Batley, 96. And Pennine Foods, Debbie Loy, 95. I would like to thank you for the work that you've been doing on behalf of our trade union and every branch that recruits on our behalf. I would like to pay tribute to all our safety reps, learner reps and stewards and everyone that holds office at our branches. Your fight keeps us safe and improves the circumstances each and every day. Without you, our union would not function. It's as simple as that. So I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you. I'd also like to thank our full-time officials for the work that they do and wish Sam Vickers and John Higgins a long and happy retirement. They have dedicated the majority of their working lives to fighting for fair play and equality in our industry. I'm not sure if John's here yet or Sam's here yet, but obviously thank you very much. Aye, there he is.
Sam's at the back.
And Sam's at the back, I believe. So thank you very much. I'd also like to thank our office staff across the country for helping to keep the union ticking on a daily basis. In many ways, they are the engine room of our organisation. And I would also like to pay tribute, because I often get into trouble because I normally forget, to our Executive Council for the work they have done and the contributions that they have made to our union and the important decisions that they have made but often go unnoticed. For certain, we know this year we'll definitely be electing 3 new officials, because obviously Lucas, Mark and Sarah have moved on to become full-time officers, and I'm sure everybody in the room wishes them well in their new role. So I'd like to thank you for your contribution and obviously wish you luck. And finally, I'd like to give a mention to the organisations, the many organisations that have supported us. The NSSN, Unite the Resistance, Hazards Campaign, You Fight for Jobs, the SCIU, and all those that have worked hard on our behalf without any thought or reward. They have attended marches, rallies, protests and picket lines, handing out our leaflets, getting our messages out across the internet, blogs and social media networks, and generally helping to raise the union's profile. They've been absolutely brilliant, and I thank you very much for all your support and all your help. I think it's important to recognise that individuals can do great things, but collectively we can change lives. That's why working with others and supporting each other is key. The Tories know this. This is why they target our structures and seek to isolate us. They know by singling us out, demonising sections of our society, it becomes more difficult to challenge the status quo. This week we will be debating many and varied motions, most of which make the call for change to our communities and our society that can benefit us all, and not just a select few. However, without the support and without working with others, there will never be change. We can never rely on corporations or the wealthy to fight for any sustainable change on our behalves, for equality or fairness. And thanks to the attitude and the trickle-down economic ideologies perpetrated by the likes of Thatcher, Blair and Cameron, the 1%ers will only begrudgingly throw us scraps and crumbs from the table and expect us to be grateful. We witness this every single day with the way workers are treated, a tax on pay, a tax on shift premiums, a tax on holidays, a tax on sick pay, a tax on breaks, a tax on health and safety and company pensions. You name it, they want us to have less of it. They want us to work until we drop and be grateful for the fact that we have a job. And that if we want to improve our lives simply by asking for it, will never be enough for the most part. We have to stand and fight together in solidarity with everyone in struggle. You get the feeling, though, that the tide is turning across the world. People are fighting back. You won't hear or read much about it in our mainstream media because they don't want you to know that the tide is finally turning against the establishment and elite. They don't want you to know that the status quo they seek to protect for their own ends is under any sort of threat. However, if you look around, you see the proof of it. The fantastic junior doctors fighting for our NHS, which this government is trying to destabilise. The teachers and the head teachers fighting and winning against the government on forced academisation and the privatisation of UK education. The rise of the superb Jeremy Corbyn as Labour leader. And look abroad at places like Canada, who have overhauled and reimagined their government. Look at Iceland, whose people demanded jail time for the bankers and forced their leader out as a result of the Panama Papers scandal. Look at New Zealand, who outlawed zero-hour contracts. Look at the bravery of the Egyptian activists defending trade union rights despite being constantly under threat. And look at those fantastic fast food workers in the US who have secured $15 an hour as a minimum wage and a union that now covers 15 million people. And look at how Bernie Sanders took Hillary Clinton to the wire in the US Democratic nominations. Despite the corporations, banks and medias being against him, he has re-energised politics in the US and fired the imagination of young people who are now demanding better. But he does not stop the authorities from using strong-arm techniques. I mean, Ronnie can tell you that, they were trying it on with him the other week. To suppress any non-conformity through, sadly, even though the police are facing attacks on their own terms and conditions. There are always enough narcissists and psychopaths in their ranks that are happy to get their truncheons out and do their bidding of the government and big business. Workers and ordinary people are always going to have to face some stiff competition. If you want to see change or social justice, you only have to speak to Hillsborough families for proof of that. That is why we're standing together and showing solidarity is so vital. If we fight together, we will win together. Let's not be divided and conquered. And sometimes, we have to ask what the TUC does and who it represents. Sometimes it seems out of touch with workers and trade union members that we have to question, why do we make payments to it? What function does it perform? Since David Cameron became Prime Minister in 2010, we have seen what's left of workers' rights in this country being attacked and torn apart by this government. Yet despite this, an almost universal call for a general strike, the best the TUC has had to offer is a few marches around London, a few celebrities speaking at rallies, and some catchy slogans that mean and achieve precisely nothing. Workers are being shafted time and again over the last 6 years with total prejudice. Where's the direct action? Even the TUC's comments around the EU have a tone of surrender to them. They seem to be perpetuating a myth that all workers' rights originated from Europe and that only Europe can protect them. The majority of workers' rights in the UK were won by the UK Labour movement, and being in the EU hasn't stopped Cameron and his mafia attacking the trade unions and working people on a daily basis. The role of the trade union is to protect workers' rights. Anyone expecting Angela Merkel or Christine Lagarde to do it will be sorely disappointed. Look at how the French trade unions responded. They didn't organise peaceful marches and roll out snappy sandbags. They don't sit around and wait for the EU to protect them either. Look at the recent dispute regarding the French government with their attempts to attack their long-standing trade union laws. The French unions won't hesitate to close the country down if they see it. The likes of Connolly and Hardy, not to mention the Chartists and Tolpuddle martyrs, along with other greats that built our movement, would be sobbing at the lily-livered and spineless TUC we have in 2016. This union is prepared to stand up a fight against unscrupulous employers, and many of our sites have taken decisions to ballot members in response to pay cuts or attacks on terms and conditions. It has resulted in improved offers, and a good number of those sites. After the conference last year, many of us went down and joined those fantastic workers at Gunston's picket line, and I want to congratulate all of those workers that stood up and fought back at Gunston's. And of course, we've just had the recent superb action by Roger Stone at RF Brooks and those fantastic people at Pennine. Fantastic, absolutely awesome, and it was a pleasure and an honour to stand with those members. And that was probably, the first strike of its kind against the gimmick wage. Your bravery and commitment to each other and the fight for a fairer, more equal community is commendable. And I'm absolutely positive that your disputes, unfortunately, will not be the last, as we recognise that the only way to fight back is to stand up and strike if necessary. I think it's more important than ever that we make it clear to our employers and our members that we can no longer accept the race to the bottom. I'm proud to work in this industry, and I'm disgusted that we're not being valued as we should be. And that job is our job to make those changes. Our industry, and people often forget it, when they talk about the Industrial Revolution, I know those fantastic miners powered it, they often forget it was the food workers that fed them, that made sure they were able to go down those pits and dig out that mines to build that industrial movement. It's food workers and the standards that we uphold to protect the food chain that makes our children grow up healthy, which in turn reduces the burden on the NHS. Let's be under no illusion. Food workers are essential in the UK economy and our society as a whole, and as such should expect higher pay and better terms and conditions. It's not pie in the sky and it's not unachievable. It's about organisation, it's about determination, and it's about strength. 4 years ago in New York, fast food workers went on strike to demand $15 an hour. And now 15 million people, like I've already said, are covered and get $15 an hour. People said they were mad, their expectations were too high. Fast forward to 2016, and see today where they are. They told them the same in New Zealand when they said we're going to stand up and fight for $12 an hour. They got $12 an hour, demanded 15, and now they're ready to strike for 21. That's what you do, and that's how you get, and that's how we make improvements for every member that we represent. And why is it we get told we have to accept that 0 hours are the only way businesses can thrive, that we must be exploited? Why is it in New Zealand they can outlaw them and still McDonald's make a 19% profit? It hasn't hit their business, has it? No, it hasn't, because 0 hours are about exploitation of labour. And our job and our duty is to stand by those workers who are on them. And if those employers want to bring them in, our job and our duty is to do what they did at Hovis, and if necessary, go on strike. No second-class worker anywhere in the food industry. Nowhere. It's unacceptable. And we need to organise our workplaces. Let's tell our members who we are and what we stand for and what we're going to fight for. And let's be clear, because we have to be clear. We have a duty to stand together. We have a duty to fight together. We have a duty to win. Enjoy your conference, Solidarity.